Welcome everyone to episode 79 of Raw Sport. We have another big one today with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Jeff Fenech. Jeff, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, mate, as always.
Jeff, some big news recently was announced yesterday in Australia. Your protege Brock Jarvis versus Keith Thurman, a former world champion, fought the biggest fights in the world at welterweight. Why Keith Thurman?
That's a great question, but they never asked me. No Limit spoke to Brock and his father at the time. They threw the name up at Brock, and Brock, being the fighter he is, obviously put his hand up straight away. Brock's a very confident boy. He feels much different carrying that extra weight around, and yeah, he's in for the toughest fight of his life. The more I watch Keith Thurman, the harder I think this fight's going to be. So, look, we need to prepare properly, not just physically, but mentally. And if we can do that, Brock can create a huge upset. And don't worry about Thurman being 26. 36 isn't old anymore. Brock might think that Thurman's old. I don't even think of age. Age is nothing in this fight.
Thurman's been around for a very long time, and he hasn't fought in a long time. Did the inactivity factor into your decision of fighting him?
Like I said, definitely not. Inactivity in the boxing ring is just a word because he's going to get ready now and he's going to spar hundreds of rounds. So that inactivity is going to be gone. He's going to be in there boxing. He's going to be doing what he needs to do on March the 12th. So I don't want to look at anything that I'm going to think that it's going to make it easier for Brock or myself in this fight. I want to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and yeah, I'm not thinking anything but seeing the best Keith Thurman.
It's a big step up against. It's a big step up from his last fight, who he fought against Adrian Rodriguez. How do you prepare a kid like this for such a big occasion, Jeff?
Yeah, it's not a step up. It's like I think it's a whole lot of stairs. It's walking to the whole from the bottom to the top of the stairs. That's a completely different fight. But my reasoning that we fought Rodriguez was just to get him back in the ring, get him confident. Me to have a look at how he was at that weight and the strength that he carried. And well, the strength that he's carrying at the moment is unbelievable. I'll be doing not just pad work, but we're doing a lot of body work. Or I wear the bodysuit, and this bodysuit's supposed to be unhurtable. But man, I had a heart operation when my chest was cut down the middle. Every time he hits him, I think it's getting cut again. So no, the kid's very well prepared at this stage. But like I said, we got our 7 or 8 weeks left to go, and they're going to be the most important weeks. Starting the spar and then getting the right sparring partners. And I can, without doubt, say now that one of the guys who I want to have on the radar, who I know will help us tremendously, and we will help him, is Michael Zarafa. And yeah, I've been in contact with Michael, and we're both keen to help each other.
Are you looking to bring in sparring from overseas?
No, like I said, I think Michael Zarafa is world class. I think where he will have no doubt to come here and help us, or we'll go to Melbourne either way. And I think having that sparring, but first I want to get some rounds under our belt so I know that we're ready to do the 10 hard rounds. Once I've done that, then I'll get certain people to try to do what Keith Thurman does, and we'll work from there. But first of all, I want Brock to be fit, strong, and confident that he can do the 10 rounds. Then we'll do the specific work.
Now, with such an occasion comes a lot of mind games, Jeff. You're very experienced. You've coached the best. You've fought the best. How do you prepare a young guy like this mentally?
Wow, to be honest, I'd prefer him to say nothing at all. And I never said a word about my opponent. If they said something to me, of course I'd answer back. I never stared at my opponent in any way. I never stared at him at any press conference. I let these do the talking, and they done the talking. I had 15,000 people at every fight. So I mean, I know the world's changed, and these guys have got to roll with the punches and roll with what the promoters tell them to say. But I honestly believe that Brock's work ethic and his hopefully we can get his mind to the same as his work ethic. and with self-belief, he can beat anybody, but he just has to fight the right fight. He's got to hit.
Well, we've unfortunately lost Jeff there. There you are, mate. We lost you for a second.
Yeah, I just was getting a phone call. I hung up on them. Yeah.
We're still live. Keep going.
What?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
talking
like I
about
said,
getting him mentally right.
yeah, there's so much more than just being physically right. When you're finding somebody as smart as Thurman, you need to have more than one plan. Because if this isn't working, you got to try something else. And if Thurman makes us fight his fight, I don't care who you are, Thurman beats you. So we've got to change it around. I've got to change Brock's mindset and give him an A and a B plan, and if not a A and B and a C plan. And we've got to train under those circumstances. And if we need to be able to do it, and he'll do it. And the great thing is with me and Brock, I've got to say this. Brock's maybe one of the best listeners I've ever trained. If I said, even some days before I tell him to do something, because we've been so used to each other, he'll do it. So, look, I'm one of these guys who's not going to brag and say we're going to knock this guy out because the guy doesn't deserve to be spoken about like that. He's been one of the great fighters, like I said, over the last decade. So I give him all the respect in the world, and I hope that my help and my preparation with Brock will see him have success on the 12th of March.
Jeff, did you get involved in the negotiations at all?
No, I didn't. I left that all to Brock and his management part of the team, and then they asked me. They told me who they were fighting, and my first and utmost thoughts were, let me get there to help this kid. Let me make sure he's going to be ready, and let me make sure that nothing's going to happen to him. That's my job. My job as a trainer is, as well as getting somebody prepared mentally and physically, is but they know they've got somebody in their corner who will look after them at all times.
Jeff, I know not many have spoken to this. There was a bit of a fracture in the relationship between yourself and Brock. Do you think you guys are even tighter than what you were before? You think you guys, because you've both been vulnerable to one another now, you think that relationship's rekindled and even stronger?
Well, I certainly hope it is. I can guarantee you one thing now, that if there's a couple of days, if anything happened during this preparation, as much as I love the boy, I would open the door and walk. If we're not going to be, I remember this every single day that I left New Down Police Boys, and I went and had dinner with Johnny. When I left having dinner, I couldn't wait to get back there to see him. I couldn't wait to get back there and work with him. And if I don't see that between me and Brock, I will sit him down, speak to his father, and speak to himself, and I'll say, listen, I don't want to be part of that. But I know that's not going to happen. I know that Brock's grown. You've got to realise he's not that little kid away training anymore. He's got his own mind and he makes his own decisions. But I'm his trainer, and if he's not going to do what I want and how I want it, I will not be his trainer.
Jeff, how different will preparation be for this fight with Thurman than what it was for Rodriguez? Because you have a reputation of hard work. Whoever trains with you, there's no shortcuts.
Well, like I said, the crazy things all around the world. I hear these guys, won't mention it, we train 4 and 5 hours a day. Well, Brock does all his running, his strength work on his own, and we train for maximum 60 minutes a day. I mean, I've cut it down to this, and the easiest thing ever. The fight lasts 36 minutes. What about, excuse me, I wasn't swear, but what in the hell do we have to train for 3 hours or 4 hours? That's not making you any fitter than you're training. We do quality, we don't do quantity. And we work on specific things. We don't take time off a minute. Every round's 3 minutes, every break's 30 seconds, and we work hard. And let me tell you, all these guys that say they can work for 5 hours, send them to the gym and tell them to try to do what Brock Jarvis does in an hour. None of them will do it.
Wow, there you go. It's quality, not quantity. Absolutely. All right. I think Australian boxing's been served a treat with this fight. Speaking of Australian boxing, Jeff, how are you seeing the current landscape? A lot happening, eh?
Wow, I mean, the fighters that we have today, are as good and as talented as any era. I mean, it's just not having the right trainer. It's about having the right teacher. It's about having people that know about the game and know about the sport. And I brought this up and I'll bring it up again because I'm very comfortable with saying it. And Tim Zoo, if he had a team that knew about boxing, and I say this without any hesitation, he'd still be world champion today. In his last fight, he might not have fought that opponent and would have got 5 or 6 times the money he got because he lost against with the cut head. Who has to fight 12 rounds with a cut head? Who has to prove they're tough? Now, Tim Zoo's never had to do that. Tim Zoo's got the skill and ability to beat anybody in the world. Back there,
Jeff.
sorry. I
Yeah,
know that Tim will come back. And listen, and no disrespect to his father, because Costa is one of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport. When I first seen him, wow, how special is this guy. But listen, for him to say that Tim needs to go into a training camp and get tortured for a week or whatever it may be, how stupid's that? Tim needs to go with a trainer that can say, this is what you've done right and this is what you've done wrong. Let's get it right. And these guys aren't gonna touch you like they won't. Tim's so much physically fitter and stronger than all these guys he fights. But if we get hit, all of us get hit, we can get hurt. One of us is Superman.
well, he's it's been interesting. I'd say 12 months for Tim, and basically what we're seeing.
Hello?
Jeff. Yeah, I still got you, mate. We still got you, Jeff. We still got you, mate. Jeff, can you hear me, Jeff? Jeff?
Hello?
Yeah. We can hear you, mate. All right, let's see if we can get Jeff back on here. Fortunately, he's having some technical difficulties. Jeff? One sec, mate. Let's get Jeff back on. Just as we got him going, unfortunately, we sort of lost him. Jeffrey, Mr. Fenech. No, unfortunately, we seem to have lost Jeff. Disappointing because he was just getting into the meaty part about the Australian landscape. We'll give it a second or so to see if we can get Jeff back on. Unfortunately, for some weird reason, he has pushed out. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tim Tszyu goes from being a world champion to absolute disastrous 12 months. And now he's just staring at a big local fight. So it's actually really, really sad to see, because you go from top of the world to just being back to the local scene, and his confidence is shot. Absolutely. You can see that in the last fight. He kept touching his head and so on, just to make sure that he's not bleeding. So maybe he came back too soon. Maybe shouldn't have come back when he did come back. But we can't do much about that. That's already done and dusted. What we can do is we can see where Jeff is and see if he's going to be joining us. I've just sent him a text. He should be back in shortly. For some reason, he keeps getting phone calls. Here he is. He's back.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yep.
You're back. Perfect. All right.
I don't know where I went, but like I said, I'm not too good at this. But somebody keeps ringing me and spoiling everything.
Buggers. Yeah, so let's keep going, Jeff.
Let's get back to the state of Australian boxing. And like I said, we have the most amazing fighters. I've never seen more talent in Australian boxing. I can't remember it. Of course, we had the great Lionel Rose. Of course, we had Johnny Famechon. Of course, we had the great old Vic Patrick. And we had all these guys, Barry Michael, Lester Ellis, Jeff Harding. But we haven't had so many at the same time. And like I said, one of the disappointing things for me was because I'm a huge Tim Zoo fan, and like I said, I just listened while his father was here talking about Tim going to Russia and to be put through some camp, some torture. Listen, mate, the kid's done all the work in the world. He's been tortured just because he lost the fight. He lost the fight for one reason, because his corner never told him what to do. His corner didn't even know that if you stop a fight in the fourth round, you automatically, it's a draw. And if it's a draw, after the points, after the fourth round, which it was close, but I'm saying I think Tim was winning, he'd still be world champion today. So listen, I'm just an honest guy. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what they say about me. I'm just honest, and I know that Tim Zoo will come back. Tim Zoo will be world champion again. But he needs to make changes. And listen, loyalty is one thing, but being loyal to yourself is first. And making sure that this is a sport. This is the most vicious sport in the history of sports. It's not about being loyal to the guys that are around you. It's about those guys knowing what they're dealing with. It's about them guys knowing about boxing. And if they don't, they shouldn't be there. First of all, the company didn't know how to stop the cut from bleeding. Second of all, his trainer didn't know that after 4 rounds you can stop the fight, and it goes to the scorecards. I mean, if they don't know that, mate, they've got to go and join another sport, because you've just ruined a young man's career.
You know what, Jeff? You are
It's
100%,
true.
mate. It's absolutely. I can't disagree with you. It's 100%.
Yeah, well,
100%.
I don't want nobody to disagree with me. I don't want Jeff Fenech, Jeff Fenech. Listen, all I can say is, like I said, the Tim Zoo that I know, the Tim Zoo that I watch fight, got better and better every fight. There were just there's times when you go back to the corner, you need somebody to say, look, this guy's trying to do that to you, not just sending you out there knowing you can beat everybody up. But listen, this is the hurt game. When somebody hurts you and you're not used to it, it's difficult. And like I said, Tim got hit with a left hook that really rocked him. Of course, we've seen Tim get up, and we'll see him get up. That's Tim Zoo. But in the fight prior to that, when he got his head cut, all they had to do was be professional, be smart, look after the fight, forget about money, forget about saying Tim Zoo's the toughest guy in the world because he fought with an axe that just cut through his head. That's all irrelevant. The thing that is relevant is those guys that were in the corner didn't even know to stop the fight. And if they did know, it's even worse because they didn't care about their fighter. Safety first for your fighter.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's not much I can say. We just wish him all the best, and hopefully he can pick himself back up.
You know why there's not much anybody else can say? There's not much anybody else can say because they're scared of saying things. They're worried. I'm not worried. But I lost my job at Fox because I'm who I am, you know. I'm going to say it the way it is, you know. I'll never forget, and I love Michael Zarafa, but one day he was in a fight, and it was close, and I didn't think he won, so I said he didn't. He kind of said to me, oh, Jeff, you're Australian. I said, Michael, I love you. I thought you lost the fight. I'm not going to say I thought you won the fight if you didn't. And since then, we've become great friends. And like I said, the Michael Zarafa that I know, if he does things properly, can be world champion as well. We've got a great stable of fighters. Liam Wilson, the Tuboloni brothers. The list just goes. And look, we've got the greatest fighter in the world at the moment. That's Jai Opetaia. There's nobody better than him in the world. I mean, well, there are a couple that are close, but if you're going to mention the best fighter in the world at the moment, he's right up there. An Aussie that's worked his backside off with his dad, done everything the hardest way. And then look again, we've got George Kambosos, huh? Who beat the great Teofimo Lopez. George hasn't done much since then, but George will keep getting a chance. And don't ever write George off. There'll be a day again that he's going to shock the world and be world champion again because that's what he wants to be.
Jeff, why isn't Dry getting the coverage he should get? He's top 10 pound for pound in the world, if not top 5. Why is he not getting the coverage back home?
We live in what they call the best country in the world, but we all also live in the most jealous country in the world. And if you're not with the right people, you don't get the right path to what he deserves. He deserves more publicity than the whole of Australia put together. He should be front page. He should be back page. I was, and he should be exactly where I was because what he's doing is he's shocked the world. He's shocked well, he didn't shock me because I've always known that's one of the greatest talents I've ever seen. I told you that when he was 19 years of age. I signed him to be his manager when when he was 19 years of age. So I'm not stupid. I can see potential. And that's why I talk about Tim Tszyu and I talk about him so strongly. The potential that I see in Tim Tszyu is not gone. He's lost a fight. He got knocked out once. People have been knocked down and get up. And it's not how you get knocked down, it's how you get up. You don't think Tim wants to go? Like I said, Tim fought 12 rounds where he couldn't hardly see, he fought 12 rounds with people in the corner, not even telling him what to do, not even worried about looking after him. So I'm just going to be me. I don't care what anybody says. I don't listen. Like I said, I love and respect Costa Zoo, but if he doesn't think I'm telling the truth, well, they all need help.
We actually covered the fight. After that fight, there was speculation about the rematch clause. Now, I had got word from the state that there was no rematch clause, and locally, people were saying that I was making things up. So I brought on Samson, the opposition promoter, Gabriel Fondura's promoter. Sorry, Sebastian Fondura's promoter, and we said, we said, Samson, is there a rematch clause? He goes, no.
Samson's a very good friend of mine. Let me just say something else. And why do you think there was no rematch clause? Why do you think? Because these clowns, not boxing trainers, thought he's going to win, so they didn't even worry about a rematch clause. Mate, listen, something might happen. You might break your hand in a round. You might get a terrible cut like he got. And you start that's important for a rematch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. All right. Who's on your radar as in Australia's next big talent or next contender?
Well, the person I feel the most sorry for is Liam Wilson.
Why?
Because and again, I'm not saying, but if that was me in his corner that day, I would have already been in the ring after the 10 count. I would have made the biggest rumble. It would have been like an earthquake going on to stick up for that young kid. That kid has worked his backside off every day. He's one of the most amazing young humans you'll ever meet. And on top of that, he's one of our best prospects in Australian boxing. But now you've got to realise he's had all these hard wars because he fights anybody. So sometimes that isn't always the best thing that we need. But fight after fight after fight, he fought all these fighters who nobody gave him a chance on. And he's really beaten them all. He won that fight. Mate, listen, you don't get a 21 count. It's 10. If you don't get up and you're ready by 10, you lose. And his opponent didn't get up by 10, so he should have lost the fight.
What do you think of his upcoming fight against Yusuf Dib?
Well, I mean, that's a huge gamble for me from Yusuf and Billy Hussein. I love Billy. Billy was my apprentice, worked for me for years and done everything with me. It's a tough job to throw him back out there after what happened towards the end. I know it was a close fight while they were fighting, but I think, well, one thing that I do know about Liam, once he's fought you once, he'll work you out and do some other things. But like I said, it's a huge gamble by Billy Hussein and his team. But if the great thing when I say that, they have belief that they can change their fighter. And if anybody can change and make their fighter better, it is Billy Hussein and his team. Like I said, I have total respect for Billy's ability as a teacher, not a trainer. Billy's a teacher as well. And he's got a little Huss there, the younger, the brother they've been around the block. They've fought these guys, so they've got a great team around them.
Jeff, what's it do for Liam's career?
It makes him some money. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're fighting the same guy and beating him twice, if that happens, But like I said, for me, that's a great fight for Liam, only because he's been through, in his last half a dozen fights, 4 of them have been wars. It's all right to have a rematch, especially with this guy who thinks he's confident, and obviously Liam thinks I'm going to walk through him if he doesn't remember what I've done during the last fight. But that's, again, something that Billy Hussein has installed in his fighters. A loss is nothing, it might sound big, a loss, but it's about how you come back.
Well, we wish him all the best. Other than Liam, anybody for us to keep an eye out for?
Wow, like I said, there are so many great fighters out there. Like I said, the Maloney
give us
brothers.
one. Give us one that's not mainstream, that's coming up on the way up, that you think that this kid's going to be something that's caught your eye, like Opataya did many years back.
the young, I just can't get his name, but the young boy that Bill Gibbs training, he's
Munir, his name is, I believe.
yeah, that kid's got amazing skill and ability. Yeah, and he's got amazing skill and ability. But like I said, we're very, very blessed that we've got an amazing crew of fighters today. But this is the saddest thing. They have all these trainers that train them, and all these trainers think they're great. But listen, unless you can teach somebody something, and not just teach them, you've got to show them how to do it. And if it doesn't feel good, it's wrong. If it feels good, it's right. We don't have teachers. And the greatest teacher in the history of this sport was a man named Emmanuel Stewart. And I was blessed to have been taught by him, trained by him, and learned so many things from him. Ask Lennox Lewis, he'll tell you exactly the same words that I said.
Jeff, one last one from me. This is in regards to the whole sport, not just Australia. Have the Saudis been good for the sport?
But honestly, I think they've been great for the sport. They've given every champion the opportunity to fight each other. I mean, if you heard Eubank at a press conference recently calling all certain promoters names and stuff like that, and you know why he was able to do that? Because now he doesn't need those guys like he needed them. And like I said, boxing's changed. Like I said, to be honest, prior to these guys getting involved, I've said it for years. It's the worst run sport in the world. Eddie Hearn and them will try to do a great job, and they will do a great job now with the help of the people from Saudi. But prior to that, I mean, and not so I'm not talking about Eddie Hearn. I'm talking about Australia. I'm talking about the amateur boxing in Australia and the professional boxing. Listen, it's the worst run business sport in the world. In the history, nothing's ever changed. Matter of fact, Australian boxing, I'm not talking about the fighters because they're all given their all. I'm talking about the people who run it. And I'll say, I don't care, the referees, the judges, the people who run the sport, they just bring the sport down. And I will tell you something. I've never said this before. Maybe, who knows what's going to happen to me now. Just previous to one of my fights, I had my boy all gloved up because nobody was there to watch him. As I walk out, they make me take his gloves off. I won't mention the person because it'd be very, very embarrassing. So I tell them that nobody was in there to watch. The response was, why didn't you call somebody? That's not my job to call somebody. You're just supposed to be there. So I take the gloves off. Instead of inspecting the hand wraps, the person just feels the gloves and stop put them back on. You're supposed these are what does the damage. The person didn't even feel the hand wraps. I could have had concrete in them. The person squeezed the gloves, said they're all good, put the gloves back on. That's how bad our sport is run. That's a joke. That's a total joke, but it's the truth, and I'll prove it. I'll go on TV. I'll bring the person who done it. I'll do anything they want, and I'll show you that I tell the truth.
Wow. It's a good way to wrap things up, Jeff, because that's pretty interesting.
And wait a minute, before we wrap it up just on that, let's wrap it up on this. How can somebody sit down and watch the same fight and one person give it by 7 rounds and the other person give? How are we watching the same fight? Listen, these guys. Let me tell you about the sport and why this stuff happens. If you like the promoter or this promoter sent you around the world or you're doing something for him, not even on purpose, in your mind, that's the guy you look after. They forget that these guys are just work 24/7. That's the diet, that's the diet to make weight. They forget about all that. All they think about is, hey, I'm getting that next trip to America. This guy's going to send me to Bangkok. Yeah, as soon as I get off the plane in Bangkok, I'm going to be wined. I'm going to be dined. I'm going to go to Soy 11. I'm going to go to Nana Plaza where all the girls are. And that's what they worry about. They don't care about the fighters. You know why? Because they've never been punched in the face themselves. The great thing what should happen after one of those fights is you put that referee or judge in the ring and let him get punched in the face and see what it's like.
Might try it.
Them boxing might
Let's put
change.
it past Turkey, see if you try it in Saudi.
Turkey will do anything to better the sport.
He's doing some great things. Let's hope he can maintain it. Let's hope they don't just pull the plug because they are doing some great things. All right, Jeff, mate, it's an absolute pleasure, absolute honor to have you on. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time. We had a few issues with the stream, but we got through. Any parting words?
So should I say to you, Yeah. Thanks for getting me in trouble. But listen, when you tell the truth, there's no trouble. When you can go to bed knowing that you told
You
the
can sleep
truth,
well.
that's the best sleep you'll ever have.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen,
When I walk through here now, I'm going to look in the mirror. I'm going to be very proud of myself because I tell the truth. You know, my legacy. I want you to know this. My legacy has got nothing to do with boxing. I don't want nobody to worry about what I do with boxing. And let me tell you, I've made mistakes in my life. Those mistakes are a lesson, Ahmed. They're not a life sentence. People try to, say that I've done something 30 years ago, and they still hold me the gun against me for it. I don't care what them people say. Listen, like I said, life and make mistakes or lesson. If you learn from your lesson, that's great. And what I want to do is I want to give back to the kids of today. No, I don't give it. I want every kid that wants help. If they want my help, my door's open for them because that's the legacy that I want to leave. I want to leave the legacy that I helped people. I gave back to the not to the sport, but to the people who supported me. To those mums and dads who supported me and paid to watch me fight. They can bring their daughter or child here any day of the week. Not only will I speak to them, but I'll do anything for them if it's going to help them.
wow, that's very powerful and very, very generous, Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeff Fenech today is on a roll. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you joining the show. For those that want to get in touch with you online, are you on Instagram, Facebook, and what else?
I'm on all that stuff. I'm not great at using it, but if I get a message, I'll always respond. If somebody needs something to help in a charity or any way, shape, or form, I'll always help.
It,
So, the people built this house for me. That paid to watch me. I'll never forget that.
there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Jeff Fenech, thank you very much for joining me on Raw Sport. Take care, mate.